as I think about it now, I recall the acid test for my so-called diagnosis of schizophrenia was an MRI done on my brain, a magnetic resonant imaging that was done in 1987 at our expense, out of our pocket, to satisfy our curiosity for something to the tune of $1,100 at the time. And they said, yes, indeed, you do have schizophrenia. See, the left ventricle is larger than the right, or something like that. That's the void in the center of the brain, showing a lack of brain tissue. Wait a minute. As I recall, the whole point of the diagnosis was to get extra money from the government by claiming that it's schizophrenia, not obsessive compulsive, not manic depressive, because schizophrenia is genetic, and he gets it from his dead father, who can't defend himself against these claims. And so, being that it's genetic, we can now get Social Security benefits stretching back to birth. No, stretching back beyond birth to his father, who should have been getting it, the benefits. Oh, a great ploy to get money for your son. Oh, Mom, why are you doing this? Oh, because all the Brentwood ladies, all the Bel Air lady mothers do this for their children. They get money from the government. Huh? Well, her best friend was doing it, but that's not everybody. Everybody. Just because your best friend, what was it, Sylvia Greenberg, or what was her name? Not Sylvia. It was an S. Maybe it was Sylvia. Whatever. But an MRI showing brain damage, if that's what it's showing, is not genetic, necessarily. Could be neonatal. Could be postnatal. Postnatal drip, yeah, right. No, that's postnasal. Oh, excuse me. Postnasal drip, postnatal, prenatal, neonatal. Before the nose, after the nose. The nose is the time of birth. Yeah, I just came out of somebody's nostril, right? They sneezed me out of them at birth. It just shows brain damage. That's not genetic. So they've got different arguments running along, somewhat they think in parallel with each other, and they don't even interconnect. They don't intersect. I mean, the whole point was getting SSD, Social Security Disability, because of a genetic fault. It's all in the father's genes. And the irony is that my whole protest of not wanting to make a living, because they think that's an indication of schizophrenia. He doesn't want to make a living. And not wanting to wear clothes, oh yes, that's definitely schizophrenia. He doesn't want to wear clothes. That's so cuckoo. Is because it's genetic. When it's instead the acid test was brain damage, which is not a genetic test. If you want to test for genes, which is the whole foundation of the definition of schizophrenia, that to link back to get Social Security disability from the father, you've got to do a genetic test, not a brain scan. Duh! Brain scan just shows that some event happened. And genes are not an event. Just because you're born does not make genes an event. Jeez, logic here is missing. If I think back, hey, this doesn't make sense. The whole thing is fraud. And then, for the government to come out and admit to being a party to the fraud, because they've been signing off on its exacerbation every step of the way, snowballing it, making it bigger and bigger and bigger fiasco, a bigger and bigger charade. You think they're going to want to correct their mistake? Oh no, we watch each other's back. No, we don't. We wouldn't let that happen, and so we're not going to correct it because it never happened, right? And then we have to make you give all the money back. You know how many thousands of dollars that is? I'll be in debt for the rest of my life. I'll be even more poor than I am now. With my trustee not giving me any money. Because she thinks I'm not schizophrenic. No, she thinks I'm a felon, a kidnapper. Oh, of course. Which is it? Am I a felon or am I schizophrenic? Make up your mind. How come nobody's coming after me saying, hey, we're the fraud department and we need your money back now. The trying to waddle the middle, and I said, well, he's not exactly, no, but he's not exactly, okay, where is he? Because then she'll lose her license for practicing, trusteeship without on fraudulent terms. So it's like, oh my God, I don't want to see. So why would anybody who's party to the crime correct it? Instead, they're just trying to hover above everything and not touch ground. Let's see if I keep my feet off the ground just enough. Just a hair's breadth of an inch. Nobody will know where I'm located, you know. Where do you stand? Well, I don't stand anywhere. Does that mean you're on the fence? No, I'm not even touching that. I'm just hovering above ground. Well, who's holding you up? He is. It's all his fault. Oh, really? Because you should have objected. Oh, really? When? At the very beginning? And then when they got their so-called second opinion, it was within the same ballpark as the first opinion, a psychiatrist when it should have been an internist specializing in neonatal care. You know, neonatal damage to the brain. Oh, God, due to alcoholism among a family who was starving. Hello? Anybody catch that? Well, we knew your father was crazy. No. He induced, it's not genes. He induced starvation and alcoholism among all his subjects, while he himself was not alcoholic because he was smoking a pipe. That prevented him from becoming an alcoholic, eating all his spoiled fruit. Because the rigors of smoking, it just prevents alcoholism. How keen is that? Beautiful. Why do you think all the people who go to Alcoholics Anonymous smoke like crazy? Because when you drink like crazy, you induce self-induced alcoholism in the physiology automatically, spontaneously, without taking another drop. They're just trying to hide from that fact by drinking even greater on top of what they've automatically induced in the physiology. So now the physiology has a suppressed immune system because of all that alcoholism that they were practicing. And so it behaves as if it's an alcoholic physiology without having to take another drop. But they want to hide from it by continuing to drink, or they want to prop themselves up by smoking like crazy. Somewhere along the line, it got started and became karma. Family karma, A, which can go from generation to generation and not be a gene, or B, personal karma from past lives which has gone uncorrected. So that's what I endeavor to do, because antifreeze poisoning makes it worse. On top of the parasites that I got from Hawaii, at the same time that David Wolff thought I got it from living at MIU in Fairfield for 2 years. No, I went to Hawaii at the tail end of that before coming home. So he never figured in he drank the water from Hawaii without sterilizing it for 6 weeks. Do you think he gave himself toxoplasmosis? Let's check. Well, if I have to pay out of my pocket, I've never done that, have I? Because I'm pretty sure I have it, and I don't need to prove it to myself. But if we're here in a court of law to prove whether or not my son belongs with me, I could just say I have toxoplasmosis. Parasites. But what I've tried to do is regenerate the physiology, including the brain tissue, by taking baths in silver hydroperoxide with MSM, which is highly soluble, peroxidized, metabolite silver. Silver that there's so much that if I go out in the sun, I'll get argyria. So I stay out of the sun, because I got so much silver in my physiology, and then my body goes and regenerates where it chooses to, on its choice. As a 59-year-old, it's not going to choose to do too much, but it will choose to do some and make use of the silver as a catalyst for regenerating whatever damage has been done at any point in my life before or after birth, from the time of conception onwards. So I'm taking responsibility, the only way I know how, rigorously, all the way back to the source. But to claim all of this shit, on what basis, on what grounds? It's a lie, it's a sham. And I'm here to expose it. To call it for what it is, because Mommy's not around for me to honor and respect. So I don't have to honor the lie by honoring Mommy. Okay? I honor any woman who can bring life into this world. That's pretty respectable. Pretty saintly. Without being a saint. But that's it. Draw the line right there and no further. Anything else, that person's got to earn the respect from me. It doesn't come for free. But a lie is a lie. And this has gone on ridiculously to the point that it's amazing and absurd. You know, it's considered a felony to practice fraud. So I think you've got the wrong fraud, dear Donna Connolly. It's not called kidnapping. It's fraud of a different. It's fraud. It's felony of a different type, which does not concern you. Oh, it would, because then your son wouldn't be with you. My son would not be with you. Unless, of course, I went to jail for the felony that my mother protracted that I did not object to, unless you can find me guilty for that, of, because devotion to his mother. Well, I guess that makes him a criminal by association, because he was an adult, and he should have known better. So I'd go to prison for a different purpose. And my son would stay with the Connollys. Gee, how fortunate. One way or another, I'm screwed. But you can't call me a kidnapper. You're not going to lie into my face. My trustee can do that and refuse to talk to me. But you can't do that to me, because I can post it on YouTube and tell you to the whole world, you're liars, all of you. It's fraud. It's not kidnapping. If you want to get the correct felony, let's get all our ducks in a row here. Come on. This is a tragic joke, and it's not funny anymore, even though I'm laughing. Oh. All the Bel-Air mothers do it. Oh, what do you mean? Sheila Greenberg. Yes, Sheila Greenberg. 1 year different of age than my mother, but born, I think, on the same day or the day after or the day before or something. 1 year apart, something like that. It was like, might have been the same birth date or it might have been a day or two off, but it was 1 year apart. You know, it's funny because Charlie Lutz and Burt Lancaster's birthdays were 1 year apart, as I recall him saying. I could be wrong. No, I think that's correct. Anyway, just thought I'd up in the middle of the night here. Bullseye. A genetic test is the only way to test for this. Now, there is a test for having been infected with toxoplasmosis at a prior time, but that only takes care of the parasites drinking the water for 6 weeks in Hawaii in January and February of 1979. It doesn't take care of the alcoholic damage, neonatal, while undergoing starvation for the first 2 trimesters of gestation, not for the third, or else I wouldn't have been born. I would have miscarried like the pregnancy prior to me at the beginning of the 3rd trimester, but I didn't. So that test is, the only thing is a genetic, if they don't have a genetic test for schizophrenia, then they should shut up and fuck off and quit with this nonsense. They have no business promulgating it any further than it's already gone. No one does. In or out of the halls of justice. They have no right, no business, perpetrating a fraud. On whose behalf? It's at their cost. All the way going up to the federal level. You see why I don't go and get SSI because every 2 years and reclaim that I'm schizophrenic? Are you nuts? But with SSD, you do it once and you're good for life. Ooh, my mother was sharp. She was swift. Ooh, she did her homework. Oh yeah, I saw her doing her homework. She was going to get as much benefits as she could possibly get for her baby. For her baby son. Why not? Wouldn't you if you were somebody's mother? Well, he refuses to work. And he stays at home like a putz. he runs around the house without any clothes. No, I think that's called protest against a dishonest marriage. Hello? Which you found out and then wanted to blame on a dead prior marriage. Hey, you're the one who married your third husband, not your first husband. Your first husband didn't marry your third husband. Come on. Whose responsibility, whose mistake was it? Come on. I mean, my mother just wanted to protect her ass. That's all. Not by blaming it on her son. No, she wants her son to get benefits, but by blaming it on his genes. Oh, he got it from the first father. No, he got it from his mother, who made a poor choice among all three fathers, and she admitted it to my face. Well, I never did seem to get it right. three times. 3 errors. She just didn't want to take credit for her own errors. And that was my karma to come in under the hood of an error. An era of an error. Let's make an era of it, a whole lifespan. I couldn't have come in any other way. That was my karma for having fasted like crazy in my last lifetime. You tell Gandhi how he's going to come back as someone like me, under this kind of karma, you know? Barely make it in here by the skin of my tinny tin teeth. Come on. Good grief. Just figure it out. It just takes simple logic, that's all. Yeah. Phase me. Well, I got nothing more to say about it, so I better shut down my computer, cell phone, whatever. Then we have the government's position, which is to protect the ass of the AMA, because the AMA doesn't want to come out and say, oh, silver works. It actually when silver is oxidized as a peroxide, superoxidized as a peroxide, it actually works as a catalyst for regeneration dependent on what the body chooses to regenerate. The silver will be there to provide that support should it choose to regenerate one organ, tissue group, or another. And, because Vinny is actually doing the right thing by bathing in silver hydroperoxide and claiming that redox, oxidation reduction, is the only way to explain argyria. And not to say that it's permanent, but it's reversible. God forbid people should start using silver on a wide, massive scale and demand it of their doctors within the hospital setting. That's why doctors stopped making house calls, because you have to sign in to the hospital to undergo doctor care. You didn't sign anything when the doctor came to your home. He came on your private property at your discretion, at his discretion, to invade your private property at your request. So of course you didn't sign a release form releasing liability for damages done by accident within a hospital setting, because it was your setting, it was your home, or your parents' home. So things changed when hospitals were taken over by corporations. They had liability. They had their ass to protect. And that's all it ever comes down to these days. Because hospitals are not run by cute little nuns who are performing acts of charity for their community. No way. They wouldn't be able to spin a profit for all the expenses that the hospital incurs nowadays with all their fancy schmancy equipment. It's got to be funded by insurance. Hey, you got insurance? Are you covered? So, getting back to the topic at hand. What was the topic at hand? Oh God, I forgot. I'm doing so much kvetching. Oh, you see, but this gets very hairy. Oh yeah, I got off on not making house calls anymore. That's one of my favorite movies with Walter Matthau, is House Calls. Also Hopscotch. He's a fantastic actor. He's chosen very good roles. What was it? Oh yes, whose ass is being protected? So the government doesn't want to come out and say, oh, but Vinny is actually doing the right thing. Because if it's brain damage, he's actually doing a very good home-style method, homemaker, do-it-yourself method, of encouraging regeneration of the spinal column and the brain, if there is indeed any brain damage, which the MRI conclusively acid-testedly vindicated for Dr. David M. Wolff
way back in 1987 at our expense. So I'm actually doing the right thing. God forbid the AMA should be caught with its pants down. Whoops! You want to see my pants down? No, I guess you don't. Some of you. Because he's actually doing the right thing. I'm about to take now a bath. I'm preparing to take a bath in silver hydroperoxide with MSM. We're living in a nutty corporate world where the bottom line is the only thing, thank you, that matters. I mean, come on. It deserves a good fart. Clapping, rather than clapping with one hand, because that doesn't make any noise. I've got to hold my cell phone camera with my other hand, but I can lift up to fart. Did you hear that? Did you get that? My fart of disapproval? Oh, this is just too much. The fraud goes on. And the protecting, the ass wiping that goes on and on and on. It's unbelievable. And this is all to protect each other's ass. Hey, come on, dudes, arrest me already for fraud. Come on, what are you going to arrest me on? Do it already. What are you waiting for? Let's get this out and straighten it. Oh, no, we better not straighten it, because then we'll find out we're all guilty of participating and not catching it properly. Uh-huh. Duh. So nobody wants it to go to trial. They just want to threaten each other so that I don't get any money from the trust, which should be an inheritance split down the middle. Let's see, my brother already took a good $200,000 upon sale of the house, reducing it to $500,000 by the time I got a wind of it. And I've spent, let's see, what was it? Of the principal, and then in addition, I've spent $140,000 of my own while I was in Packwood, Washington, bringing it down to 300 and something some odd thousand principal. So let's see, if he took 200 already, that means half of 720. Let's just say it's 700. 720 would be 360. So if he already took 200, because the real estate agent and the escrow could not have taken 200,000. Come on, for a sale of a home. So let's see. So that leaves 160,000 left that he can take, and then I'm left with the remainder, and I have no trustee to look after what I cannot look after. Come on, give it a break, a rest. It's just an inheritance. That's all it is. Oh yeah, no wait. The government gets to take a tax. Oh, and it gets to take all the thousands of dollars for the fraud from out of the inheritance. Of course. What was I not thinking? Oh, goodness gracious, there may not be enough there to pay off all that fraud. If not, then Bruce better give back some of the money that he took already, which I was never showed the accounting of. Gee, I wonder why, because I'm incompetent? No, because I'll catch them on their fraud, that's why. He didn't want me to dig in there and pull out some shit out of his asshole. No, and smear it all over his face, in front of everybody in court. No, he wouldn't want that. Whatever, the money's going to come from somewhere to pay off the government for all the fraud. All the thousands of dollars of fraud, Medical benefits, well, I hardly ever use the Part A and Part B of Medicare, so they don't have to worry about that. Medicaid under SSI, I didn't use a whole lot of that. Social Security disability, oops, I did use some of that over the course of how many years? Since 1987 till now? What is that? 30, 20 years? What's the math? 13... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's 29 years. So 29 years of fraud, getting Social Security. Let's see now. 29. Let's say it's 30 years times 12 months is, that would be 360 months. Interesting. Almost 365. 360 months at what? Gee, let's say it's $1,000 a month, which it isn't. It was less than that. But let's just say it's 1,000. 1,000 times 360 is 360,000. That's about how much was left in the trust. Oh, how clever. Now I'll be left broke. Wait a minute. No, my brother has to pay me back 100,000 he took. Minus what the real estate agent and escrow actually took. That's right, so I get to 100,000 back from my brother. Won't that be cool? And he has to pay me back for a change and come kissing my ass. Ooh! Ooh, I love it. Let's do this. Come on, I want to see my brother kiss my ass. Come on. In court. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, and be fined for lying in court, for evicting me from my mother's home, which converted the sale of the home into monetary liquid cash flow in the first place. You know, and then he could scrape off a little off the top and get a nice cut. Oh, a little, yeah. Mm-hmm. Enchanté. Well, we've got some interesting business to straighten out. It's quite a big mess. And what judge wants to oversee that? Well, we're going to be in court for a little while here. And the lawyers are going to want to cut too. Or, excuse me, the attorneys. We don't have attorneys practicing law. They're practicing code. They're practicing something. Their tennis stroke. Oh, but they're not practicing law, so they're not lawyers. Okay, you don't practice law. Come on. If you get it wrong, you're found guilty. There's no wiggle room to get it right. What are they practicing? Oh, they're court procedures. Excuse me. Oh, Judge, did I get my court procedure right? So it's a liability between the court and the so-called lawyer, the attorney, for practicing court procedure. Duh. I always wondered what they were practicing. Okay, enough already. I don't know what channel to post this on. I think I'll post it to the same one, Psychology channel. That's right, because it's fraud masquerading as a psychological exam. Felony, a felonious fraud. How about that?